Moana Exiles. In today's video, we will be looking at some new and updated skill and support gems, including the brand new Hand of Chayula skill gem, which looks absolutely awesome. We'll be overviewing some new gameplay from the Tokyo Game Show that was posted recently, and no, I don't mean 4 seconds ago. We'll also be comparing the old Path of Exile 2 passive skill tree and the new one as it stands right now, and looking at all the massive changes that have occurred. There's some really cool stuff here. We'll be closing out the video with two special things, and that is highlighting a tool that was launched yesterday that many of us will be using long before Path of Exile 2 comes out, and we're about 37 days away now, and long after it releases on November 15th. And then we will be shouting out some awesome Path of Exile 2 content creators that have been bridging the gap between the early access launch of PoE2 and the present. All right, let's start out with the skill and support gems. Now, a lot of this information is being pulled from brand new gameplay posted from the Tokyo Game Show, which will be playing in the background of today's video. The actual video links are in the description below if you'd like to watch them in full with the audio. These are not in 4K. Unfortunately, OBS was not configured properly on the creator's computer, but it's the best we can do, and the gameplay is awesome. We'll take a look at it in depth in just a moment. First, I'd like to focus on some of the skill gems that we were able to see in this new demo. I teased it in the opening, and we're going to start out with it right here. Hand of Chayula. Dash to an enemy and strike them with an unarmed attack, applying socketed curses and marks with increased effect. This skill always strikes with your bare fist, even if you have a quarterstaff equipped. 16 to 30 added chaos damage, it cannot be evaded, and it adds plus 9% to critical strike chance. This right here is another one of these meta gems that we've seen quite a few of at this point, including the Cast On series of gems. They allow you to socket other gems inside of them. This is one of the first, though, that we've seen used as an actual skill or attack, as opposed to activating a lot of war cries with a single gem, or doing something when you crit. This is an actual skill that you will be using to activate other very specific skills. This right here heavily incentivizes a single combo gameplay at the least. You open with this attack where you are applying a bunch of curses, 5 curses and marks at the very most, to an enemy. You could open with this on a boss fight or a rare monster, even a pack of mobs if you really want to. It's going to have a high cost, but it's also going to set you up for tremendous damage and success in those encounters. I love the name, I love how it's leaning into pre-existing Path of Exile lore, and I really want to see it in use. Here's a very interesting skill that has to do with auras and curses that I don't recall seeing before either. It's Blasphemy. Combines all socketed curse skills into a vile aura, applying their effects to all nearby enemies. This, once again, looks like it's some sort of meta gem, although it doesn't actually say it's a meta gem, and it essentially turns you into an anti-aura bot, passively inflicting these curses to all of your enemies around you, but it does cost 30 spirit per socketed curse. An extremely high reward for extremely high investment, given we're seeing how much you actually will need to put into spirit with things like scepters and the tree and other things on your character. Say goodbye to the aura bots, say hello to the blasphemy bots. Here's a very different type of skill that we've not yet seen before. It's called Mana Remnants. Conjures surging lightning that causes shocked enemies you or your minions kill to leave behind a mana remnant. Picking up a mana remnant grants you mana and can overcharge your mana up to double its normal maximum. Each remnant grants 9 mana. Now I'm imagining you just going around picking up these little, I'm almost imagining the lightning mirages around your enemies to grant yourselves mana. So it looks like they are really leaning into the fact that you won't always need to rely on mana potions or investing in mana regeneration, that you'll actually have skills or buffs like mana remnants that will allow you to regain your various resources. And I love allowing this sort of diversity into the game. A lot of us were thinking, okay, they want mana to be something that you care about. Oh, we're just going to have to use flasks all the time. Definitely not the case from what we've seen on items, on the skill tree, and with the skills themselves. Okay, here is another skill gem that I have not seen before. Shield Wall. Ram your shield into the ground, throwing up a wall of earth on either side, and losing your shield for the duration of the skill. Enemies can attack the walls, and your slams will instantly destroy them. Each wall segment explodes when destroyed, damaging enemies around it. This does a lot of different things. You can look at the stats right below it, but instantly, this type of gameplay is fascinating. You literally lose your shield item for a moment of time, and it requires the said shield. We have not seen a lot of shield specific gems yet. This is just adding onto the very small pile. The gameplay that it is incentivizing here is once again dissimilar to almost everything that we see in Path of Exile 1. And it's making me think, for various abilities that cause you to throw your shield or throw your weapon, are they going to say that you're not actually wielding said shield when you throw it? That's kind of wild, but the implication is there with shield wall. It's definitely a possibility, and I'm wondering too, does your shield actually turn into the wall? I know it says a wall of earth, but I wonder if they'll do like an MTX where your shield actually turns into the wall itself. That'd be kind of cool. Just once again, another unique new skill gem that would never, ever be seen in Path of Exile 1. Now, there are a bunch of other skill gems that we've seen before and have been changed. There are also some new ones on this page right here on PoE2 DB. Schwan is doing a great job keeping it all updated and poring over the internet for all of the officially approved information that we found through demos or official gameplay from Grinding Your Games. So if you'd like to dive more into the skill gems specifically, the link to this source will be in the description below. Now, as for support gems, well, they are just being changed a whole bunch. Ever since Grinding Your Games made the decision that you can only use one of each support gem across your entire character, meaning you can't use two instances of added chaos damage on your character, you can only use one. They have been going wild with not only creating the support gems, but changing the balance of the support gems too. Once again, these are all on PoE2DB. There's a lot of changes with the added chaos damage ones, stuff like controlled destruction, exploit weakness, faster attacks, and projectiles. All this stuff are receiving changes build to build. So it's really interesting to see the evolution, but I don't think there's a lot to highlight or analyze right now, not a lot of brand new stuff. So I will once again just let you go and investigate them for yourself if you'd like. Now, before we go to the passive skill tree and its changes, I just want to call out this gameplay from the Tokyo Game Show, okay? It's of the sorcerer. That's what's been playing on loop in the background for the past little while. And I have to say, the sorcerer in this particular gameplay demo looks absolutely busted, everyone. I could not believe it when I started watching it. So Nice, who appears to be a Thai content creator, posted this onto YouTube with no commentary, and it's not 4K, but oh my goodness, just watching it gives me chills, watching how powerful the sorceress is, particularly with the fire-based skills. In this area, it's Act 2, the Lost City of Keth. There are massive amounts of monsters. Honestly, when they're running around blasting these packs, I mean, look at that right there. Look how they're just dying. These white mobs are getting exploded. This was not happening before. So I really don't know what happened with that. Look how many monsters there are on screen right now, and watch them use a massive fire blast, and all the monsters are gone. This reminds me of Act 2 in Diablo so much, running around getting chased by dozens of mobs at once, and I'm so excited for it. I mean, I won't be playing Sorceress on start unless my chat makes me decide that if we hit my sub goal, but this looks, I mean, it's the power fantasy, right? Lots of people were saying, okay, white mobs aren't dying fast enough. Well, it appears that Grinding Your Games has changed that balance. They've added a lot more white mobs, at least in this specific area, and you are killing them a lot faster. I'm sure magic and rare mobs, I mean, we've seen rare mobs, they take a while to take down. They are tough as are bosses, but exploding lots of monsters, getting those huge instances of damage and seeing the corpses just collapse to the ground, that is still definitely feasible in Path of Exile 2. And I know a lot of people have been worrying about that. I mean, just I'm watching it right now as I'm talking to all of you. These monsters are just dying, and there's a ton of them. It's crazy. And there's so many different monster types too. It's lovely. I love the gameplay. The music as well is chilling. I believe this sounds like the trailer 2 music a tiny bit, which makes sense. Trailer 2 was a lot about Act 2. So I heavily encourage you to go over to So Nice's channel after you finish this video, watch the 5 minutes of no commentary with the music and everything. It's awesome, and it continues to just hype me, and I'm sure you, up about Path of Exile 2's early access release in just about 37 days from the posting of this video. Okay, here might be the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the passive skill tree section, and before we dive into it, as a note, this skill tree obviously is very heavily subject to change, not only before early access, but during early access itself. Neither of these skill trees are final. They are doing a lot of changes to the skill tree right now. Let's go. Let's take a look. Right now, you are looking at the Gamescom skill tree of the Ranger specifically. And remember, the skill trees don't matter between different classes, really. It's just the icon in the center differentiating it. And then you are looking at the Tokyo Game Show skill tree. Now, a Redditor on the Path of Exile 2 subreddit by the name of Inkilty put together a nice GIF that I will now put on rotate right now on this. And the changes are pretty tremendous. One, you can see in Gamescom, it looks like all the nodes are a little bit more spaced out. They are different shapes. There are jewel sockets on the Gamescom tree. And then when you go to the Tokyo Game Show, a lot of the nodes and their shapes, the clusters, have changed drastically. We no longer have jewel sockets on the tree, which is very, very interesting. And at the Tokyo Game Show, we had way more keystones. I believe there's about 7 more keystones. I tried to count it once. A few people in my chat have also counted it. I think it's 7. Okay, I just read the comments of that Reddit post, and it is 7. It's 16 in Gamescom versus 23 keystones at the Tokyo Game Show. And they are more evenly distributed at the Tokyo Game Show. So I think what's going on is they're filtering more and more of these keystones into the game. Stuff like the giant blood keystone, which allows you to wield two-handed weapons in a single hand. They have all these wild ideas that are finishing testing and going through development, and they're saying, okay, we are good to put this into the game. They slot it into the tree, and we finally get to see it through these demos. I know a lot of you are probably going to focus on the fact that jewel sockets are gone from the tree presently. I do think that they're coming back. I think the designers love the idea of jewels. They've stated as much before. I think they're going to return, if not before early access launches, then during the early access period between those 6 to 12 plus months of development. There's no way that jewels are gone from Path of Exile, everyone. Do not be worried. Hopefully this doesn't come to bite me back in the butt in the future. Just one more time too, I'd like to shout out the decision to make the clusters look like the things that they are affecting. Bow clusters are shaped like bows. Crossbow clusters are shaped like, yes, crossbows. Spears, swords. Wind stuff is like lightning. It's just all great. I'm a big fan of it. I hope it stays. A lot of people said it was like Grim Dawn's Constellations. I have not played a ton of that game. I've literally only played like 15 minutes of it, so I don't know too much about it. I looked into it. Yeah, that's a pretty cool system. I really like the aesthetic, and I hope this stays and they don't slowly shift everything into circles as they have in most of Path of Exile 1. Because, fun fact, a lot of cluster design in Path of Exile 1 used to be unique. It was asymmetrical, but it shifted into that circular design the further they got into development. Okay, now for the announcement or shout out to the new Path of Exile tool going live, and that is PoE2 Wiki. Yes, it went live as of yesterday. The creators reached out to me. They also made a post on the Path of Exile subreddit and the Path of Exile 2 subreddit. The site is live. It is a little bare bones right now. They are working on getting all the data out there, but it is up. And I have to shout it out because I use the initial PoE wiki all the time. I use it constantly. There's a lot of stuff in there that's not in game. It's very easy to navigate. I can get a lot of item art from there, div card art, and the like. I think it's going to be the same with Path of Exile 2's wiki, and they do a great job maintaining it. Even if Path of Exile 2 is going to incentivize people to stay in the game more. They have the dictionary system with the keywords and abilities. You're going to be able to see really what skill gems do with video examples and in-depth descriptions. I do still think there is a place for a wiki because you can easily find all said information on like a boss, all the abilities that they have, all the lore about said boss on the wiki itself. Shout out to them. I use the PoE Wiki all the time. PoE2 Wiki, probably going to be the same. Go check it out if you want to look at things in a beautiful UI environment. I'm sure the more information we get, the more stuff is going to be loaded onto there. Shout out to them. And finally, I'd like to close out the video with a highlight of a few other Path of Exile 2 content creators that I've been watching, and I think you should give a watch to in the lead up to PoE2's early access release. The first is probably going to be no surprise to all of you, and that is Silver XYZ. He is an awesome creator with a YouTube channel that is really dedicated to Path of Exile 2 for the most part, and he has been doing a PoE2 Ascendancy class design series wherein he designs Ascendancy classes for the game using his excellent art and game designer skills. They look fantastic. He does a great job with the balance. He's doing a Project 36 right now, trying to get all of his concepts out before the early access launch of the game. If you could go show him some love, give his videos a chance, I think you would really enjoy them. He's a great creator. Next up is someone that you may not have heard of before. His name is Off Meta Michael. He usually focused on Diablo 2 content, but he has shown a great interest in Path of Exile 2, and he has been doing analytical style videos wherein he goes over gameplay in depth, or he looks at specific items or skills. It's not necessarily an essay format, more of an analysis format. So very different from my type of videos, honestly. He really goes in depth, looks at stuff, and he's slow, methodical about everything. He gives a different perspective, one very different from mine. So I'd also like to shout him out. Go check him out if you haven't already. Cool creator. Then we have someone who is working up to Path of Exile 2 content, and he is going to launch a bunch of stuff once PoE2 comes out, and that is Gavrin Gaming. He typically did last Epoch content before, but had a big Path of Exile video, and it launched him into really loving the game, the creators, and all that, and he has been doing an in-depth, phenomenal lore series in which he goes through every single area in Path of Exile 1, act by act, listens to all the dialogue, puts all the proper music in, listens to all the environmental objects, and gives a little bit of color to each area and act in the game. He's currently on Act 6, and he plans on doing the same for Path of Exile 2. If you are at all interested in Path of Exile 1 or 2's lore, go give his videos a look. They are stellar. And then we're going to close it out with the last creator doing unique Path of Exile 2 content consistently, and that is my bud Dreamcore. He is the mechanical mastermind, the dude who knows how to just put complex ideas into simple words, put everything that needs to be on screen on the screen. He is doing a Path of Exile 2 mechanics series where he talks about mechanics that are going from PoE 1 to PoE 2 or brand new mechanics in Path of Exile 2. He also has been analyzing the leaked keystones and giving a lot of insight on how they might affect character builds in the game. I know many of you who watch my channel know about Dreamcore. You're probably already subscribed. You already probably watch his videos. But in the off chance that you aren't, go check him out, please. And that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all the support. We have a lot of stuff upcoming. There's a live stream that's going to occur in 2 to 3 weeks about Path of Exile 2, learning about, I presume, endgame, ascendancies, early access costs, and the like. I have some exciting announcements coming up. I will also be live streaming pretty much every single day of November. And honestly, if there's relevant information, stuff I want to get out to you guys, well, there might be a video a day or more in November too. So stay subscribed. So if you like the content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Talkative Try for more Path of Exile 2 content. I will see you in the next video, my fellow exile. Hala Kura.